Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with a quick update with regards to update 1.34 that has landed on GT Sport today, this morning, bringing with it 5 new cars and a new track with 2 variations. And now this is a real life track that I've never ever driven it on any sim racing game before, so I'm actually quite happy with this because it's kind of like a situation with Project Cars 2 when they added some tracks that I'd never heard of or never driven. And I quite like this because, you know, we can get the tracks like, you know, we've all heard of and drive them on any sim. However, this track is totally new to me and I've really enjoyed learning it quickly this morning. I only done a very quick go of it just to get you the lap to show you in the cockpit. But first of all, we're going to, obviously on screen at the moment is the lap on the replay. Driving the new McLaren as well, which surprisingly has been added into the Group 3 cars. I was kind of not sure whether they would have put that into Group 2. You know, a lot with the way they're doing that, it kind of could have fitted into Group 2 or Group 3. But one thing I would say is the fact that this is in Group 3 kind of justifies to me that they need to add more classes into this game now. I think we've got to the point now where we're getting a lot more cars. They need to start thinking of new classes to add cars into. You know, we need Group 2 separating with the 2 different types of cars that are in that. We need Group 1 massively segregating and splitting off, in my personal opinion. But I don't think it'll ever happen, but it would be really, I would really love it if they did separate some of these classes up, like GTE cars to GT3s. And made it a bit more like Project Cars and iRacing and stuff like that with the segregation between classes. It would make more options available, obviously, to racing as well when we're online. So in this update, we're going to quickly go through what's been added in before we actually have a look at that track driving on board. Obviously, the first thing that's been added is the 5 new cars: the Toyota, the Pagani Huayra, Mercedes SLR, McLaren F1 GTR, and the Mazda road car, the NA spec. Now the new track you can see there has been added into the game. It is enjoyable. We're gonna look at that further in a moment, along with a lot of your usual stuff like scapes for the new track and stuff like that. But let's have a little look at the update details, because there is some very interesting stuff that's been added in further down the list. Obviously you've got the cars there at the top of the list, the track with the 2 variations, the campaign mode. They've obviously added in, or like usual, every update we get new campaign mode stuff added into GT League and various stuff like that, and scapes. Now, with regards to replays, they've added the ability so that when you're in replay and you save a replay from sport mode from an FIA race, now it's going to show you the grid introduction and the grid walkthrough from the FIA races within the replay, which is quite nice to see for myself as well, because it's quite good to get the lap times going through the grid like that. So that's a benefit for myself. Other improvements are that they have actually fixed the one issue that has annoyed a lot of people since the start of this game, and it's the disconnect issue. Apparently they fixed it. I don't want to say 100% because I'll say for sure when I see it's actually been fixed, but it says that the issue where you get disconnected and sent back to the main screen when going into a lobby or an FIA race has been fixed. So if that is the case, amazing. You know, that is the one issue that really did need fixing on the game, but I'll leave judgment for that. Another issue is they fixed the brake telemetry within the replays, so that I think this could be something to do with the fact that it never ever showed you the full brake pressure, because the white bar was missing and it was only the ABS telemetry that was showing. So that could be what it is that's actually missing from that, but we'll wait and see when we test that out fully. It does also mention that they have altered the tyre wear within the game. So it doesn't specifically say which group or which kind of cars. It just says overall tyre wear has been altered. So again, we need to test this out, see whether it's... Hopefully this is a Group 4 fixed. I really hope it is, that the Group 4 have been balanced out a little bit better with the tyre wear. But we will wait and see how that progresses. And like, I want to give an opinion on that when we've done a lot of races in Group 4 at different tracks, not just 1 or 2 tracks. And next what we're going to do is we're going to have a little look at the BOP changes. And again, we've got some quite strange decisions that have been made within the BOP. Most notably is the Renault RS01 has had a power decrease. Now this car was quite underpowered anyway, and they've took more power off it. Now this could be linked into the fact that the tyre wear model has been altered. However, I did have a quick go of it earlier today. It does feel a little bit different to drive, the Renault RS01. However, the tyre wear still looked quite aggressive. I don't know if it was as aggressive as it used to be. Perhaps it was a little bit better. It'll be interesting to fully test that out and see, but quite a surprising one, along with the NSX, which has had a power increase. So that car is going to be a bit more competitive at certain tracks now, so that should be an interesting car to try out. I know I tried it out at Catalunya yesterday, but I think that track was very slippery in general, and it'd take quite a bit of getting used to driving the NSX there. I think the NSX is a car that you do need to take a bit of time getting used to, so maybe it just needs a bit of practice, and maybe that car will be a bit more used again now because it's had the 1% power increase. And as usual, all the cars have had their, in Group 3 and Group 4, have had their fuel ratios altered. So that'll be interesting to fully test out again to see if they're matching the fuel consumption up a bit better now after this update. Okay, so let's now go to Brand Central, have a little look at the new cars. We'll buy the new cars, see how much they are, let you all know. So first up, the SLR McLaren 2009. We're going to buy this car. I don't think it's overly expensive here. None of the cars in this update are massively expensive. You can see there, only one choice of colour with this car. You can't choose a different colour. £600,000. We'll buy that. That's not too bad. We've got plenty of credits in our GT Sport profile. So bought that car. Get into it now. Yeah, whatever. And then we'll move on to the next car, which is the McLaren GTR. So let's have a little look at this car. This is the car that's being added into Group 3, which which you just saw driving around the new track on the replay camera. So it's the F1 GTR BMW. It is one of them cars that could have been in either Group 2 or Group 3, but they chose to put it into Group 3. I can understand it in a way because of the way that it works. 450,000 credits. Again, we'll buy that. We've got plenty to do that. So you can see the lights on the front. It's got them two in the middle. It's going to look very intimidating in dark races when the light's a bit low with that car behind you in your mirror. Very intimidating to see that coming down on you, but especially with how fast that is in a straight line. Some people have reported that it is quite fast down the straight. So next up, we have the Pagani Huayra. A little bit more expensive, 1.35 million credits. So again, we've got enough to cover that, so I decided to buy that. We're going to pick this in black because it looks so much better in all black. Just look at that. Looks really nice in that colour. So got that. We're going to test these all out on stream. We're going to have to do a lap in that as well around the shorter version and the new track at the end of this video, just to show you a very tricky car to drive. I'll tell you that now. So again, we're getting in that. We're going to keep doing this all the way through to the end of it. And then next up, we have the new Toyota Supra. So we already have the Group 3 version of this car, the Supra concept car, but this is now the proper road car at 100,000 credits. Quite expensive for the car that it is, but again, it's not too bad for in terms of credits on the game. A lot of people have quite a lot of credits now. It's quite easy to build your credits up on this game if you really want to. We're going to pick a really random colour in that mango colour. Actually looks quite good in that colour. And next up, I think the next car that we have available to purchase is the Mazda Roadster. Is it the NA version? So this is not really a car that I'm that worried about. We may test this out later on stream. We're not going to test a lot of these cars out on this video. A lot of these are going to be tested out on the stream later on, but I just wanted to show you how much each car is in the dealership, just so you have an idea of how much credits you'll need to buy them all. We picked, I think it was white we picked for this car. You can see there, 17,000, so only really cheap. I'm sure that'll be a daily race A with that car very soon, around the very short track. It's pretty predictable, isn't it? So that'll be it. We know that daily race C will be at the new track in Group 3 probably next week. That's my prediction. I'm pretty sure it'll be that. So let's have a little look at this new track anyway. And I'm going to try and, I've just done a very quick couple of laps on this and tried to get some idea of the braking spots. And I'm going to try and give you an idea now of what I've learned so far. Obviously, there is a lot more learning to be done on this track, and we're in the new McLaren, not a car that I'm used to driving. We're going to look for the first braking zone, which is quite early. You're going to see now on the left hand side on this board there, just before that board on the left hand side, we're braking very early, and this is a corner you really want to bite it into apex because of the camber on the corner. Very hard to actually hook that corner up properly. We missed the apex slightly there, and then down into this turn now. Kind of a very trail braking corner. You see how we trail brake all the way through the corner in third gear, and then onto the power, down into second gear as we go on a long left hand, two corners that just connect together, and then very hard braking into a first gear tight right hand corner where you want to get on the power really early. However, it's really tricky to get on that power because of the traction, and then working our way into another very tricky long left hand corner. It wants to invite you to get on the power, but you have to be patient on the throttle. You kind of got to get the rear stepping out a bit to bite it into the apex. Then down, shifting it just on that arrow there, just before the 50 board. It's down into first gear. You want to stay very tight to this corner. I've worked it out with the camber again on that corner. If you miss the apex slightly, it runs you off very wide, so try and make sure you hit that apex very nice. And again, we're coming into another corner where you kind of trail brake through the corner and carry a lot of speed with the way the corner is. And then down into third gear, and then this right-hander works its way into a left-hand corner up here. You can see a squirt of power, and then into the left-hand, and then back into a right-hander where you have to brake very early, down into second gear, and try and bite it into the apex again on this corner. Get on the throttle very early. You can actually power out of this corner and then power through this left-hander now, and then we go into the final corner, the long right-hand corner. Say the final, it's actually the second to last corner because it's a long right-hander that then goes into a left-hander. You can see being very patient on the throttle, on the power, flat out now, and then over the line. So a very nice track. I'm actually quite glad this track has been added because it's not a track I've ever driven on any other game, so it's nice to actually get on a racing game that it's a real life track that I've never driven. So I'm quite happy with this choice of track actually, and it is a very nice track to drive. A lovely flow to it. You can see we're going to jump on board with the onboard camera in this McLaren now, just so you can have a little look at what it's like to drive on board, and I'll just stay quiet while you listen to the action for a bit and listen to the engine. Okay, so that was 2 laps driving round the new track. I think you'll agree it's got a very nice flow to it. I kind of like it. We would have obviously loved to have a classic track that we all know, or a track from the old games, one of the fictional tracks. But at the end of the day, I quite like that this is a track that we've never ever been on. Well, I've never been on it in any racing game. So let's have a look at the shorter version now. Driving the new Pagani Huayra, which I can tell you is one of the trickiest cars to drive that I've driven on the game. Now, we've put the BOP off, so this is how the car should handle in terms of full-on power. This is how it is in real life in terms of the power. We've put the tyres to racing soft just to give us a bit more grip. I'm sorry, to sports soft, not sports hard, because this, I think with the power that this car puts out, sports hard would be a bit, I don't think there'd be much enjoyment in driving the car. Sports soft, it's still very slippery, but it's just got a bit more traction. And actually this track is basically the same. It's all, at this point, it's the exact same as the other version that we've just been on. I'll show you where it splits off in a second as we go through these 2 left-handers now that go into that very tight right-hander, which you have to get on the brakes so early in a car like this, very early on. And again, look how tricky it is getting on the throttle. You've got to be very patient with that throttle, and then the rear steps out, it wants to kick out on the sideways, and then this left-hander is very tricky, and you downshift into the second gear and then upshifting it into third and trying to get the rear kicking out. You see how it slides through that corner. Good fun to drive this car. Again, I'm not a massive fan of road cars, but I am starting to get used to them a little bit. Now, this is where it splits off. Normally you go left there on the full length version. Now this cuts in to the final corner as you go back over the start finishing line, so quite a bit shorter than the other version, but quite a nice length track for maybe some Group 4 races. I think maybe quite an enjoyable track in Group 4 this, so it'd be interesting to see what they do with this track in terms of different types of classes that they use for this. So we'll have a little look again, running the lap on board, and I'll just stay quiet while you listen to this car around the track. So as you can see, they're a very tricky car to drive, but one that actually looks quite nice when driving in the cockpit view. I really like the interior of this car, so it is nice. They've nicely modelled this car. It looks amazing, to be honest. A very well detailed car on the game. But that's the end of this video. So the update isn't particularly massive in terms of content. We've got two variations of one track, which I think is actually quite a nice surprise that it's this track. It's not a massively, it's not a visually appealing track. It doesn't look unbelievable. It's quite a basic track. However, I really like the layout. I think it's going to provide some good racing. It's going to be very technical as well. It's probably going to be very hard to follow a car on a slipstream, but it's going to be really enjoyable, and I'm glad that it's a track that I've never been on any other racing game in the past. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with the replay from that lap in the Huara. Extremely enjoyable car to drive. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and click that like button if you've enjoyed this video. We'll be back with a stream hopefully at the end of today, testing out this content in a little bit more detail and other features that have been added. Anyway, thanks again for watching. We'll be back very soon. See you all soon.